play with me, and anyone new on my channel, welcome. My name is Maureen. I'm just here in Tennessee today, thinking about some, you know, peaceful things in life, focusing my heart on God's love for us, for the discernment to, to create harmony with the universe today. It's some systems, our energy systems have a lot to do with how when we're able to do that. So when you're out of balance in a certain way, a certain chakra or whatever, you're probably going to have a hard time like manifesting things that you want or need in a timely manner. And so usually that's if your sacral chakra is out of alignment and out of balance too. Like if your meridians for your spleen and your heart and your liver, for example, if those are out of alignment or out of balance, then it's going to be hard to manifest things. So you want to take care of your heart first and make the decision to create harmony with the universe in you first. If you're trying to create harmony with someone outside of you, you're never going to be happy. It's never going to work for you in the long run. As a result of my experiences as a medical intuitive and a spiritual healer, I can see energy, and I can see how when you when you think a certain thought, what it does to your aura. I can also see when you look at your energy, like when you look at your life in a certain way, with a view of it as being a certain thing, a certain way, it affects your energy systems, all of them. So our view on life, if we just update our view on life, our perspective on life itself and what life means to you, what are your thoughts about life? What's your perspective on that? And as you upgrade it to more and more happy thoughts, happy perspectives that are empowering, that are uplifting, that are satisfying to your soul, that are soothing to your soul, then your energy systems automatically, they will smooth themselves out with your new perspective, with your new attitude towards life. So if you have an attitude about life that life is hard, I can never get what I need, or I can never get what I want, because life is hard. It has to be hard in order to be good. Then you're never going to be able to manifest things quickly that you want or need. So you have to be able to know yourself in that way. When you know what your real true thoughts are. And sometimes it's hard to know what your true authentic thoughts are compared to your ego's thoughts that are trying to tell you a lie about life. And of course, a thought like that would be a lie, because life doesn't have to be hard. Life is here, we're here to make, to have fun. And I've heard people say that this is the spiritual master's way of thinking about it. So like an ascended master's way of thinking about life would be that life is beautiful. Life is it just is. So there's no need to define life one way or another. It just is. There's no judgment about it at all. They just be. They just are in life. And so they don't have a need to label things or define things or try to, diagnose things or whatever. There's no need to do that when you're at a consciousness of peace. So that's where the ascended masters and the angels That's where their thoughts are about things. So now some of them can be thinking like, although, you know, they see life as perfect the way it is, there's other perspectives about life too that can go with that, that are around the same level of consciousness. So serenity has a little bit different perspective than peace, as someone at a consciousness of peace. Someone at a consciousness of joy, that's where serenity, the emotion of serenity lives, is in the consciousness of joy. You know, then their perspective on life, their view of life, people who live in joy, that is a little bit different than someone who lives in peace, a consciousness of peace. So if you spend most of your time there at that level of consciousness and you don't drop back down to lower levels of consciousness where, you know, the views about life get lower and lower from there, right? So, well, they get more and more disempowering, I should say. Less, you know, less joyful, less peaceful. And peace is the emotion associated with peace, by the way, with that level of consciousness, is bliss. Because people who are at a level of consciousness of peace, their happiness, their rate of happiness in life is about 90% of the time. 90% of the time, they're happy. The only 10% of the time, they are a little bit upset. They can get angry, or they can feel less than happy. So that's only 10% of the time. That's how you know if you're in the presence of an ascended master. They're very, very good at being unmoved by things because they're not judging anything. They don't look at life the same way as you. And that's why their frame of mind about life is very different. And that's what makes them be able to be that way. That's what empowers them to be that way. So as you learn and grow through each chakra has lessons associated with it. As you grow in awareness of each lesson that's associated with each chakra, and you learn the lessons and apply what you learned, you've mastered that, then you can go up to the next level of consciousness from there. So, you know, as you move up into the higher levels of consciousness, the colors associated with each one become brighter. They become, you know, clearer, well, more colorful. I don't know. We have 7, 8 different chakras. There's actually more chakras than that, with a variety of colors associated with them. These are just energy centers within our body. And this is one belief system. You know, it's a practice of Eastern medicine, uses the but this is common across the world. Everybody's built up with energy first. We have energy centers that form first in the womb before the body. The energy centers create the body. And the first organ in the body to be created is the heart. And the heart center, you know, the color associated with that chakra is green. So, but the ones below it, it's the root chakra, is red. That's at the base of your spine. So, anyway, if you have lessons to learn still at the lower levels of your consciousness, at the lowest level of consciousness on the map of consciousness, the lowest level of consciousness is shame, and then blame is above that. One above shame is blame. They go together. So just like joy and peace go together at the top, those are very high levels of consciousness. Down at the bottom is, and the very top level of consciousness is enlightenment. So, and the emotion associated with that is ineffable. You can't describe it. It's so good. That's euphoria, I guess, right? There's no describing how you feel when you're enlightened, when you're at the very top level of consciousness above peace. But at the very bottom is shame, and that's when you feel the worst. The emotion associated with that is, I'm pretty sure that's humiliation. So when you feel humiliated, you're in shame, at a consciousness of shame. The level of happiness, the rate of happiness when you're at the bottom of the map of consciousness down in shame, people who feel ashamed of themselves a lot of the time, they're happy about 10% of the time. So, people who can never be happy with anything in life, they're always finding reasons not to be happy, and they're very pessimistic, very depressed people. They have a lot of shame that they're feeling. So have empathy for them, have mercy on them, don't pity them, but be there and have compassion for them, because those people, they have a hard time getting out of shame. Sometimes people can have a really hard time making the emotional journey to get out of the basement of life. Okay, so I call that the basement down there at the bottom level, because it's like being in a dungeon down there. It's very dark, it's dreary, there's not much light down there. It's it's a part of our body too where the sun doesn't shine, right? We never let the sun shine on our genitals, but that's where the root chakra is. That's where the base chakra is. And a lot of people have a lot of shame around that part of their body. They're taught that they should be ashamed of themselves for a variety of reasons around the subject of sex or gender or anything to do with the genitals, really, or their sexuality. There's a lot of shame around that. So depending on people's experiences with in their childhood regarding their upbringing and how they were raised to believe about themselves as a male or a female, and how they were raised to and made to believe about sex, or about their period, for having a period, or even going to the bathroom. Some people are afraid of going to the bathroom, because of what they learn about that, as children, or things that happen in the bathtub. So it's something, we need to learn to have compassion for each other, because we're all born innocent. We're born into the world pure and innocent, and it's our environment that we grow up in that influences us, and the teachings around us that we're immersed in as infants and as toddlers, and as we grow within the first 5 years of our life, more or less, our morals are formed and our personality starts to take shape, and our belief systems are developing in themselves, because we're programmed in a certain way by the people around us. If you have your child, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Everybody's born a child of God, okay? So we're all born peacemakers, but it's our programming of the world around us that makes it so that it's hard for us to remember that's who we really are. And so we can go through life in a discovery fear of never being able to be that way, but you already are. And I just want you to remember that there's a part of you that already is. You were born that way. You weren't born a sinner. You weren't born bad. No baby could be bad. They're not sinners. They can't sin. They don't know how to talk yet. They can't do things independently in this world. They're not allowed. They can. There's no way. It doesn't make sense for people to say a newborn baby, is a sinner. They cannot talk. They can't walk. They can't move independently of other people. So there's no way they can steal. They can't form words, so they can't even think like we do. They don't know words yet, so they can't lie or cheat. They can't do anything that They can't not honor their mother or father. They're they're pure and they're innocent. This is just the way they are. So yes, they can cry, they can whine, they can, you know, shy away from something if it's not something they feel safe with, uh, or they know is going to harm them. But these are natural, they're natural ways of babies being able to take care of themselves. They're born independent in that, in a way. So they know, in order for me to get my need met for food and for shelter from something that's hurting me, you know, too much heat or whatever. I don't know even if babies could even discern whether they need to be taken away from something that's too hot for them, but they would probably start crying if it hurt. But it's how we program in our attitudes, the people around them, the attitudes that they hold about everything in life, that becomes the attitude that that child usually adopts and uses themselves for their own life. So depending on what your experiences were in childhood, and what the attitudes about life were around you as a child, as a young child, as even as you were growing up in older ages, you might have this, you know, already taken care of, because maybe you learned a new attitude that worked better for you because you didn't like the one that you were surrounded by, and you used it as an opportunity to change what you could about yourself. You empowered yourself and you were able to change that thought to a new one that felt better. So you know, I just want you to know that you're in charge of your life, not your family, not the people that raised you. They're not in charge. You are. And you can take charge and take responsibility by changing the way you think about things anytime. And just choose the next best feeling thought, the next best feeling thought from here, the next best feeling thought from here, and keep working your way back up until you get to a feeling, a thought that allows you to feel optimistic, a thought that allows you to feel happy, happier than you were. And you know, some people, when they're in shame, they go up the emotional scale. Developing your intuition helps you to be able to do that, but also so does developing your ability to discern. So discerning what's right from wrong. And at this, you know, at this level of consciousness, everything is right or wrong. There's always good and bad, and judgments being made at the level of shame and blame. And people are they're stuck in blame and shame because their focus is on what's right and what's wrong. And if they would stop thinking about life in a certain way, they would be able to they'd get out of the habit of thinking about things as being right or wrong or good or bad. Now, there's always going to be good, because in terms of like, good is essentially just what works for you, what makes you feel happy. You know, that's what we think of as good. And then bad, you know, what makes us feel unhappy is what's bad. So yeah, there's going to be like, you know, to know ourselves, we have to know what works for us, and we have to be able to label it with something. So, you know, but at the level of consciousness of peace, of bliss up here, it's really different in how you see things in terms of life. You don't see it that way anymore because you have no judgments anymore. You rise up out of the judgment of things, and then you're just happy all the time with whatever's happening around you because you have no attachment to it. And that's the other part of it. Like down at the lower levels of consciousness, there's a lot of attachment to physical things, a lot of attachment to people, to relationships, to the physical world around us. At the top levels of consciousness, there's very little attachment to anything physical, if anything at all. So that's why they're happy, almost 100% of the time, because, well, they're just going with the flow. They're not resisting anything. So they're just not moved by anything. Someone could take something away from them, and they know the truth. The spiritual truth is, well, I can't lose what's mine by divine right, and I can claim that thing as mine by divine right and allow it to come back into my experience again, because it's mine. I'm claiming that as that, the equivalent of that thing, or something that's even more beneficial for me now than that which I loved before. So they don't hold it onto the physical thing as something they need to keep. They can let it go and be okay with that, and they just trust the universe will bring it back if it's mine, if I'm supposed to have it. Or they don't even think in terms of supposed to, but if that is intended by God to be with me, God will bring it back. There's no worries about it, no fighting, no resisting. It's just become totally relaxed in life, and it's so beautiful. So, I know this because I've been in that kind of consciousness myself for quite a while, and that's how I manifest things so quickly and easily. But it's also, how I managed to be living in my car for 3.5 years and still be happy. So I know a lot of people wonder, why is she still happy? Why is she having such a good time? Why is she able to do all these things that nobody else can do when they're living in their car and barely making enough money to survive? But here she is doing it, and she's doing it by herself and still happy and thriving, because I have that level of consciousness of peace in me, and I align myself with that. I attune myself to that every day. It takes work, it takes effort, and it takes practice. So it's not something that you ever have to stop working on. You always have to work at it to make it be that way in your heart, in your mind, because the world around us, it does affect us as humans. It does, have a role to play in our life, and we still need clearing work, to clear ourselves of things. We can still get energy imbalances. So even at the highest level of consciousness, we're still doing attunements and alignments and, taking care of our energy. We're much more boundaried than other people too, with who we share our energy with, and what we give out, we know comes back to us. So we're very much more mindful in how we give. It's not what we're giving, it's how we give it that we're focused on. Our focus is very different in life too. And so, a new way of functioning in this world would be to learn more about who you really are, how your body develops, what level of consciousness you're at, what are the behaviors associated with that level of consciousness, what are the attitudes associated with that level of consciousness, and what is the frame of mind about God and about life in general that's associated with that level of consciousness, because those are your key things that you want to work with to be able to move up to the next level of consciousness. You need to work on changing your attitude towards life and towards God, your perspective on those things, making them more empowering in order to move up, to expand your awareness of who you really are through self-acceptance, but self-love too, and love and acceptance of others also. So, sometimes the people go too fast up through the levels of consciousness, and they jump from shame up to joy. Those are bipolar people. They don't, there's no middle way. So they can't, they're not learning any lessons. They're just going back and forth between up here and down here, and that doesn't make for a very happy or healthy person either. So, or personality, the people that have that learned that way is, that's a way of functioning in the world that helped them cope with something that was stressful. So, or maybe they just were ignorant and they were naive and innocent, and somebody came along and taught them, oh, just jump up to joy, oh, like they want it. Those are the people that have a hard time with delayed gratification. They want instant gratification, and that's what they were taught as children by their upbringing. Whoever was raising them did not know how to teach them delayed gratification, so they want to go a quick fix to go straight up. Well, that works, but it's a temporary fix. It's like taking a drug. To really take the emotional journey back up means that you learn from your experiences, and you are able to grab hold of the gold that's within them, and you don't have to go down to that feeling so much anymore, to feeling so bad anymore. You don't have to feel bad in life. People think that they're supposed to feel bad in order to be normal or to be acceptable by other people. And they think, oh, well, if I get angry, that shows that I love you. Well, that's not true. Anger is not based in love. Anger is the emotion of fear that's associated with the consciousness of hate. So if you're angry, that means you don't love someone, you hate them. So you're telling them, I hate you, if you're angry at them and you're expressing your anger towards them in an unhealthy way, in a harmful way. So people confuse anger for love all the time. And I just want to clear that up for people, to help them understand there's nothing associated with anger or hate that is love. But you can have relief from shame by going up into anger, okay, or blame. If you rise up from shame and blame and guilt and grief, you can go up into anger. Well, anger feels better than shame, blame, and guilt. It feels better than those things. So sometimes people get stuck in anger because they reach that point and they're like, oh, this feels good. Because their rate of happiness with anger, it's more than it was when they were in shame or blame. So it's a really interesting learning experience when people open their hearts and minds to explore this map of consciousness, this world through the lens of God, and see the truth. Okay, so about their behavior and their emotions, and what their emotions are really telling the enlightened ones about them. Okay, so those who are enlightened, who are happy most of the time, who are, spend a lot of time in meditation every day, who practice their own healing work, their own self-healing, self-care. They're very nurturing people. They are very gentle people. They're very peaceful-minded people, very compassionately understanding people too. They don't get upset by a lot of things. They're slow to anger. Those people, they have a much different perspective on these things in life and awareness of what they really mean. So I'm one of them, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm not anymore, because I don't think that's serving me or anybody else for me to hide that. So I'm here to, share my true authentic self with you that, I awakened to when I was in my 30s. I'm in my 50s now. I'm 55. And, that's how I have perfect health right now, with, out having any medication. I'm not on any medication. I've never had a single cavity in my life, for example. I do wear glasses, but, and I'm not saying I am perfect. I have flaws. I have character defects. I still have things that are challenges in my life. I still have opportunities for growth. I still am learning as I go. I'm learning a lot, and I'm open to learning. People at levels of consciousness of peace, they're very open to learning. and they're very receptive to learning from those who resonate for them at that level of consciousness. They don't care to learn through much fear. They're much more oriented towards learning through joy, through peace, through harmony, through love and wisdom instead. So they don't follow what others do in life. They have their own path that they're carving. They follow their heart. They live in their heart 90% of the time if they're at peace. So they're not in, they're not in the world because they have to be. They're in the world because they're choosing to be. At that level of consciousness, they could choose to leave anytime they want to. But they're staying because they're choosing that. And, maybe God is choosing that for them. Because maybe God needs them here still. For a reason. They're holding light. They're holding space for those to grow up into that level of consciousness with them. Or wake up to it. And then explore the possibilities of what good might come from life at a higher level of consciousness. So, as you are listening to this, if you have any questions, I would love for you to write them in a comment below. I would love for you to join me in a weekly live video, and ask questions of me. I'm here to answer any questions you have about your aura, chakras, your meridians, your level of consciousness, your love, whatever. I'm a very intuitive person, but empathic, so I want to feel, that you're coming from a place of truth within yourself, like you truly want to better your life, you want to better yourself, and that's why you're asking. You want to learn through joy and, make a difference in your life in a positive way, and the lives of others too. The people who are at the higher levels of consciousness, their focus is always on win-win-win. Win-win-win. They never want anybody to lose. They're not out to get anybody. They're not seeking revenge on anyone. They never think about that. It's not part of their mind. They don't go there. It's just not part of who they are. So this is who I am. I'm not there. There are very few people like us, but that's who I am. So I don't know whether you believe me or not. I don't care. I don't really care what you think about me as I say this. If you think it's true or not, it is true, and everybody is entitled to think what they think, and I'm not going to resist that. I don't care, because I know the truth about me, and I know God knows the truth about me too, and about you, and God is here with us too, always present with us everywhere we are. God, there's no spot where God is not. God is within us. And so God is hearing everything I say, and God knows everything about you and what your intentions are. God knows everything about me and what mine are. So if you have any questions or doubts about me, go talk to God. God is the answer, right? God will let you know anything you want to know. Don't come to me. Go to God. So, and God is within you. Okay, and then God could be above you too. Your God consciousness. If you're aware of, yourself as an open system, not a closed one, you would know that, you have chakras above you and inside of you, the energy centers. And your chakras that are above you, they are gateways to the God consciousness that is yours, that's specific and special for you. It's unique to you. Your Christ consciousness also. And then it comes down, as you ascend, it comes down in through your crown chakra, that wisdom from up above you. But it's also within you in your heart. So It's in both places. God is within and also without. But like I said, the universe is also within you. So when you're seeking to create harmony, create it with yourself first. And then you'll be really happy because you're taking care of you. You're making you the priority because you're the only person you can guarantee that's going to be with you the rest of your life. Why not do that? Why not be your own best friend? Okay, so I just want to, like, I don't want to lecture or, you know, try to sound like I'm, you know, excellent at that, because I have, you know, a need to remind myself of the same things sometimes. So, you know, we all have our weaknesses and we all have our strengths, and we're all different. There's many strengths that God gave people. A variety of strengths that God gave people, just like a variety of personalities. There's so many different personality types that have been defined, that people could have, and any combination of them. And some people can have more than one type of personality. Like if you do a Myers-Briggs test, which is, you know, a business analyzing, you know, businesses use this to analyze the personality type of their employees so they can see which ones would get along best or work together best as a team, or if they would fit into their company and be a good match for them. They give them a personality test sometimes before they enter, and it's a Myers-Briggs test usually. That is one kind of personality test you could take. And I know in that one, if you take it online instead of in a business and you do it yourself at home, that test will give you 3 different personalities that you could be, you know, that you fit into. So, and then some people find, well, they read them and they think, well, I'm not any of these. So, yeah, life is like, you know, people are very complicated. They're complex. We're made up of so many different things. And, you know, while that is true, the wonderful thing is that we can choose consciously what we want to be anytime. So as long as you're choosing to be love, then you can align with others that are love also. If that's what you really want in life, is love. Choose love. Choose to be love, and you'll receive love. And choose to be loving in how you give. When you send out into the world your energy, or when you send out into the world gifts from you, or, you know, you're just giving people advice, or you're giving money, or you're giving your talents, you know, playing music or something, how you send out your offerings to the world, if you're doing it in a joyful way that's loving, it's constructive, it's optimistic, it's you know, peaceful. In order to be peaceful, you have to you know, you just can't always be like doing what everybody else wants. You have to consider yourself too, and what you need also. Instead of, you know, there's a lot of people, women especially, that are people pleasers because of the upbringing they had, and they you know, they have this thing of like being someone that is they think they have to please everybody else, and they're not allowed to say no, and, you know, they're just yes people. So they're followers, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That is a symptom of stress, and it's a coping skill to keep them safe, because they thought it kept them safe because, and sometimes it does, because of the kind of person that they're in a relationship with, and what the messages were that that person sent to them as they were communicating with them and talking with them and interacting with them. So anyway, I think I got off topic a little bit there with that, but you know, again, these are things that we all have because we're on the earth. We're human, and you know, on that note, we could have this is not the same thing, by the way, as multiple personality disorder. When that test is taken and you get 3 different personality types back, that's because that's normal for people who are codependent and who are um, just women in general, but men also, we have such a variety of beliefs and attitudes that are created as a result of the beliefs we have, and ways of interacting with people, whether we're at home or at work, or we're doing this activity or we're doing that activity with these people, and we're doing this over here. This is a test that, it's broad based, so it asks you questions about things you would do. What would you do in this situation? How would you do it in this situation? How would you do it in that situation? Well, people are very seldom, are they ever the same across the board, no matter who they're interacting with and where they are. You know, their environment influences them a lot. The people around them influence them a lot. So it might seem like they have multiple personalities coming forth, right? Because when they're in this environment, they're using these talents and these skills, these strengths. But when they're in this one, at home, for example, and the environment, the people there are very different than at work, then they have to rely on these strengths to get by there, or, to be happy there. They have to rely on these skills and these attitudes, and they're a different person at home. So, but that doesn't mean that they're dysfunctional, or they're, well, I guess they could be considered dysfunctional, but I think everybody has a dysfunctional aspect to them, because we all have character defects we're born with. We all have challenges that we come into the world with. That doesn't mean we're sinners, but it means that we have problems that result from us being in the environment that we grew up in, and the people around us, and things that influenced us the most in our life, whether it was the television and the attitudes and things that we saw people using, behaviors that we saw them using on a television show that influenced us in a certain way to resolve conflicts with people, or to make love with them, or, to learn from them, or whatever, to get what we need. If people spent a lot of time learning from television instead of their parents, well, they might have one way of interacting with people because of what they learned from television, but then another way because of what their parents said, because they want to include their parents in their life too. And really, everybody wants to please their parents. That's like everybody's really deep rooted desire, is to please their parents. So they might have the they might have something, that makes it so that they use a different, style of relating with people, because, they're around their parents then, instead of friends or whatever. So, you know what I'm talking about. But that doesn't mean that they're like, they have a disorder, a personality disorder. It just means they have different ways of coping around different people. Okay, so anyway, that's all I wanted to say for today. I know that, if you have questions, feel free to drop a comment below. I would love that. I'll do my best to answer after the video's over. And, you know, I hope you have a very good day, that you're doing well today, and something in this resonated for you. If it did, give it a like. Share it if you want to. You can also, you know, find me on Facebook there, and, that's pretty much it. So, anyway, thank you so much again, and I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.